So if you're an Xbox fan, you're going to want to pay attention to this video, and you're probably going to have great interest in what I'm going to say. Now, it's always something with Microsoft. Usually, a lot of places will say it's something bad, and I've always kind of stated this. If you're looking for a channel that tries to be more positive, I think you found it. For me anyway, I love Xbox, right? The Xbox is great. The company behind it, Microsoft, not so much. So I always kind of feel that way when it comes to these things. Like, I like PlayStation, but I think Sony makes a lot of stupid decisions too. I like Nintendo consoles, but Nintendo is probably one of the least consumer-friendly companies out there. But anyway, when it comes to Xbox, they get a bad rap for a lot of things, and some of it deservedly so. But it is nice to see when they get good announcements and bits of good news, and that's what this is all about. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. I know for me anyway, it's definitely cool to see, and I hope we see more of this in the future. It's going to be a really interesting thing to kind of see how people look at this and go, okay, well, that's great news. Finally, Microsoft is doing the things that they should. So let's get into it. I'm the Crap Gamer, of course, and this is Crap Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. Please like, share, subscribe. I would definitely appreciate that. It means the world to me. And if you guys would go ahead and, just let people know about me. I do daily gaming content. I try to be informative yet fun and entertaining, and hopefully that comes through. I do, it takes a little bit of time to do daily gaming content. People don't really realize it, but yeah, I try my best to just kind of have fun with it. So anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this because, hey, you guys are going to like it. So anyway, Final Fantasy producer has reiterated and claims that Square plans to release games simultaneously on Xbox going forward. This should be really good news for a lot of people because previously Sony was in such a place where, they were kind of paying to get games not to come to the Xbox, and that can really work against you. I know Xbox doesn't have the largest install base, but, it's not terrible. We've seen worse. It's not Wii U levels, at least. So, again, it's not bad. Final Fantasy producer Mr. Naoki Yoshida said that Square Enix plans to release games simultaneously going forward on the Xbox. In an interview recently, Yoshida, known by fans as Yoshi P, said that Square plans to launch games on all platforms simultaneously more and more. And I quote, "Of course, we want you to play it a lot on other platforms as well. This time we will release the Xbox Series X and S version at the same time. In the future, Square Enix titles will be released simultaneously on each platform more and more. But since this is close to the first release, we would like Xbox users to play it as well." Now, earlier this year, Mr. Yoshida said that he'd like to release Final Fantasy 16 on Xbox platforms. During an interview with Video Games, Yoshida was asked if he could offer any news on a potential release for the game on Microsoft's console. And he said this, and I quote, "Of course, we did announce the PC version of the game, so looking towards the Xbox version, we do not want to release it on Xbox," he said, "but when it comes to specifics, such as when the game would be available and such, we are not in a position to be able to share anything." He said they do want to release it on Xbox, But of course, I want to say that it's not as if there's zero hope, and we very much want to achieve that. So players should not give up in terms of their hopes. Now, Final Fantasy 16 is one of several recent PS5 exclusives that have failed to meet Square Enix's sales expectations, leading the publisher to announce plans to shift to a more multi-platform strategy. Now, the interesting thing here is, Square Enix for a long time, they really just kind of struggled, in my opinion, to have a good plan kind of going forward, if that makes sense. Because, listen, I think even if they would have announced these games coming to Xbox or whatever the case may be, even if they would have had them, I feel like there would have been a situation where, it probably would have failed to meet expectations. And the reason why it would have failed to meet expectations is because their expectations tend to be like through the roof. And that's really a weird way to kind of go about things because, if you can look back to, and this was when Tomb Raider was under Square, and Crystal Dynamics was doing the reboot, which, I was a real big fan of the reboot series and thought it was, a fantastic job. They really did a good job with it. But for me, when I look at this and I go, okay, I can remember the game sold like 5 million units at first or something, and they said it was a disappointment. So, again, when you have these types of things that happen, it's sort of easy to sit there and go, okay, well, it's got to make a difference, et cetera, et cetera. I do feel like, obviously Square, hopefully has changed and understands kind of what's going on. I just feel like it's smart, probably, if you're a third party, regardless, it makes sense to kind of go and release those games, and make sure that everybody has them, Xbox, PlayStation, whoever, whatever the case may be. I just feel like, that would be a very smart, intelligent thing to do. And, it makes sense. So hopefully that's exactly what they'll do in the future. Now, listen, I'm not sure what else, like maybe, like I wouldn't expect, if you're an Xbox fan right now and you're going, hey, this is great news. So when can we expect to see like Final Fantasy, 7 Rebirth or, whatever. I wouldn't expect to see those games. I wouldn't expect to see them until probably all 3 of those parts are released, so probably years from now. And when it comes to Final Fantasy 16, I don't know that it makes sense anytime soon to release that on Xbox, but we'll see. Maybe they can get something going, and maybe it'll be sooner rather than later. I'm sure a lot of fans there's probably fans out there that are really looking forward to seeing Final Fantasy on Xbox. To me, it was like the games themselves were such a such a weird kind of situation, because we only get bits and pieces of them, and then people wonder why they don't do well on Xbox or whatever the case may be. And that's really unfortunate, because that's a big reason why. It's like, when you notice a lot of games nowadays, right, and you go, okay, well, these games are going, they're doing this with this game or that, and I think that's cool, when they do that. But it's like, that's why a lot of games like Halo, right? They called it Halo Infinite, not Halo 6. Why do you call it Halo Infinite? Well, because you're trying to get people maybe that haven't played the game before. People aren't going to want to jump into the 6th game sometimes. So it was kind of a soft reboot. God of War 2018, right? They don't call that God of War 5 or whatever. It's like that's a smart way that they handle these things nowadays. You know what I mean? They call the next one God of War Ragnarok, right? It's because they want people to jump into the games and not worry if they're, hey, people will avoid them because they could be the 6th or 7th game, and they feel like they won't be able to enjoy the games if they're that far in. Sometimes it's like that. So when it comes down to it, and you see Xbox, Xbox players are like not buying some of these games, it's like, okay, well, they get the prequel to this Final Fantasy game, but not the mainline one. And I can remember there was some excitement of of Final Fantasy 15 when that came to Xbox One. Unfortunately, it was kind of a mess on Xbox One, but at the end of the day, they still got it. I'm pretty sure that there was some support for it on Xbox, and again, I don't know exactly what will happen in the future, but it does sound like they are definitely going to make it something that's worthwhile for Xbox fans, and I hope, if you are an Xbox fan, maybe buy the games, because I'm not sure that these games are going to go into Game Pass, so we'll have to see. But again, support the games. If you're just talking the talk, walk the walk a little bit. Support the games. Make sure that everything is kind of worthwhile for developers to put their games and stuff on Xbox. I think that's the most important thing. You can't just talk the talk. You have to walk the walk as well. And that's good advice for life in general. So, if you're an Xbox fan, good news here. Think about it. Like, I don't know that it would have really helped much, but there was that Splatoon clone that they came out with that utterly failed. Maybe if that was on Xbox, we could have seen some things a little bit differently. Listen, I don't know for sure, but again, it wouldn't surprise me if it would have been, a little bit more successful had it been on the platform as well. So we'll see how that happens. And, again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are, happy with the content or whatever, let me know in the comments. I see them, or if you guys want to message on X or Xbox or PlayStation, I always try to respond as much as possible on those platforms as well. So thank you guys very much for watching. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. I'll catch you next time. Crap Gamer out.